great. So I watched Boss Level with Frank Grillo, directed by Joe Carnahan. Mel Gibson is basically the villain. Trapped in a time loop that constantly repeats the day after repeats the day of his murder, a former special forces agent must unlock the mystery behind his untimely demise. Naomi Watts is also in this too, who plays his ex-wife, and she's kind of a scientist at the core of what's going on. I really like the movie. It's basically Groundhog Day, but it's an action movie that has a sci-fi kind of twist to it. Um, Frank Grillo. I'm a big fan of Frank Grillo. I think he hasn't been given his due, and that werewolf movie he was in, you know, this is better than that. I would definitely say that this is a much better movie than Werewolves. I thought that was a huge missed opportunity. That's a really good concept, but he just didn't do almost anything with it. I don't know, maybe he didn't have the budget needed. Maybe the director wasn't up to snuff. Not sure, but he's been in a lot of stuff. He is in the new Superman coming out as Rick Flag Sr., and he's in Peacemaker. So I haven't seen Peacemaker, but I am cautiously optimistic about Superman. I hope it's good, because I'm a big Superman fan. But yeah, I really like this. It's a fun movie. Frank Grillo gets to do tons of different action. And I like the video game aspect of it. Like in the beginning, it's the text is all like looks like a video game from like maybe the 80s or early 90s, and it's like choose your villain, and then you see Mel Gibson's over there, but then it goes to this guy who's attacking. He's the first guy that attacks him right when he wakes up, and he has a machete, and he swings, he hits the board, he rolls out of bed, he kills that guy, and then there's a helicopter that comes, and it has a minigun. He has to kill him. Then he has to jump out of his apartment, and he falls into like a dump truck like full of like sand or something. And he's like, you have no idea, that took me like 30 times until I finally got that one right. And then he steals like a muscle car, and then the guy driving the muscle car, he's like, and this guy every time squeals like a little girl, and then he's like, I'm being carjacked. Thought that was hilarious. And then he has to get past this bus full of like, it's like a church bus, and but many times he doesn't, and he goes flying through the window of the bus, and then he's covered in glass, and then he dies. Just a lot of fun. This concept has been done before, like I said, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with the movie. Mel Gibson is great. He's just like chewing the scenery, like with him like smoking a cigar, and he's like, does this cigar bother you? And he's talking to Naomi Watts, and then his story about how he was in 1979 in Burma, because he's military, and he watched this snake slowly kill this boar that was about to attack him, and he said it was the most beautiful thing he's ever seen, because at first he thought it was an act of aggression, but then he saw that the boar was going after the snake's eggs, and he said, and then he says, oh, this was actually an act of love. I thought that scene was great. Yeah, so you got Mel Gibson chewing the scenery. Naomi Watts is good as this like genius doctor physicist who's working on this secret project. that you don't really know what it is, until the end. But obviously, you think that this has something to do with it. Him continuing to be reborn when he dies, or not reborn, but like Groundhog Day, he dies, he wakes up in his bed, and he's with this floozy that he met at a bar, which even connects later in the movie, because this is going to be spoilers. I don't know. I'm just, I like the movie. I think you should go check it out, especially if you're a fan of Frank Grillo or Joe Carnahan, Mel Gibson, Naomi Watts. Michelle Yeoh's even in it for just a little bit. She teaches him, Frank Grillo, how to use swords, because he kind of has all the time in the world, because it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. So then, one of these times he's in a bar and he's getting drunk, because he's able to he has all of these assassins that are after him, and he's able to kind of lose them for like 30 minutes in this. It's like a Chinese kind of like noodle house, and Ken Jeong is there. It's always nice to see him. He has a nice little part, and he's just getting drunk off. Looks kind of like soju, but I mean, I guess it's a Chinese noodle house. I don't really know. It's an Asian noodle house, and then he starts to figure out that they're actually after that it's like, how do they keep finding me? And then one time he goes underground in this like underground retro arcade, and then he figures out that, oh, they must have a tracker in me, and then he figures out, okay, it's in my tooth, and that connects to the lady that he met in the bar that's in his bed, because she actually is a dental hygienist, and earlier she was working on his teeth, like earlier that day or the day before, where they implanted a tracking device on him. So yeah, it's just a really fun movie with, I think, a pretty tight script. It's not that long. It's an hour 40 minutes. It's really like an hour 35. That's with the all the credits. But yeah, and then you have all these different assassins, and they're like, like one is this badass Chinese assassin, and she has a sword, which is why he wants to learn how to use swords. Another is a midget who is an expert with bombs. Another two are these two black guys who are actually German, who speak German, and they have rocket launchers. Another is like a hick who harpoons him and then drags him through town while he's screaming. He's like, how does this guy come up? How do they come up with this stuff? So, and it all culminates at the boss level, with Mel Gibson. But there is a fight between them, but he kind of figures out he has to do something else to actually end this, because also this machine keeps repeating, but they can't figure out how to turn it off, because Naomi Watts put a piece of his DNA in it, and spoilers, only he can end it, and we don't really know if he survives in the end, because if you can't turn off the machine, it will actually destroy the world. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun, good action. There is definitely some fake blood squibs, some fake, CGI blood, but I guess that's to kind of be expected. I don't know. It's always kind of disappointing when you watch one of these that in a way is trying to kind of be like an 80s or 90s action movie, but then you see a lot of the fake blood and fake CGI blood, and I get it, it's way easier to do, it's so much easier, because then they don't have to have blood squibs, which can be a little dangerous, because they are mini explosions on your body. But heck, Arnold and Stallone and Chuck Norris and Van Damme and all them did it, you know? So I don't know. But and yeah, that he is the quintessential one person army. And you know, he's a total badass because he was ex-military. I think his son says that he was a Navy SEAL. They don't really get into that much, but apparently his son is actually played by his real son, Frank Grillo. They have some nice scenes together. Like, I mean, basically, him and Naomi Watts were a thing. She had a kid, and he kind of wasn't the best father. He was in the military, he was gone all the time. The kid doesn't even know that he is his father. He just thinks that he's just like a good friend of Naomi Watts. But but throughout the course of this, he's able to spend some time with his son, and you know, they go get food and they go do a bunch of different things, because once he figures out that, you know, to get rid of the tracking device, it gives him a lot more time and he can kind of just do what he wants. So then, you know, a number of his lives, basically his, you know, video game lives, he's able to, you know, just spend some time with his son and relax. But yeah, Will Sasso is a it's like a site, like basically the chief security for Mel Gibson. Yeah, I was like, where did I see him before? Okay, he's in Happy Gilmore. I was like, where have I seen that actor before? And it's kind of funny because he's kind of overweight, and so are some of the other security guys. And then Frank Grillo says to them, "Carbs are not your friends, all right?" And I also thought the line was hilarious when Frank Grillo said to two of the guys, he's like, oh, what did he say? He's like meet Royd and Rage. Okay, he's in Super Troopers 2. I never watched that. I don't know. Just didn't look very good. I love the first Super Troopers, though. The first Super Troopers is an amazing movie. Man, this guy's been in tons of stuff. Will Sasso. Wow. Yeah, Happy Gilmore. Okay, he was in Sliders. Oh, he's in an episode of X-Files. Maybe that's where I don't know. I was like, what if I watched a number of times that he is in? Maybe that's it. But yeah, just a great cast. You know, it's a pretty lighthearted movie. I mean, it does involve the end of the world, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. It just has a good time. It's nice to see Frank Grillo in a good movie. I mean, he's done, you know, good movies before, but I mean, I was just so disappointed with Werewolves. I was just like, ah, man, you could have done so much better than that. It's not his fault though. He's great in it. It's just mainly the direction and the probably the budget. Probably just didn't have a big enough budget. Let's see. Yeah, man. So this was like released in 2020, so it wasn't in the theaters, and its budget's 45 million, box office 2 million. Yeah, because they just put it out on Hulu. I don't know, maybe it had a very limited release in theaters, but so it was released in 2020. Yeah, it says 2020. Yeah, so that's too bad. So that kind of messed it up, but yeah, it's Frank Grillo's actual son. Roy Grillo plays his son in the movie. During an action scene, Mel Gibson accidentally hit Frank Grillo in the face, dislocating his jaw. Grillo didn't let on as he didn't want to slow up the filming process. 8 hours later, a medic was able to reset his jaw. Joe Carnahan had been trying to make this movie for years. It was originally called Continue. It was written by Chris Borey and Eddie Borey in 2010. Carnahan rewrote the script. and announced in 2012 that he would direct it for 20th Century Fox. He later filmed screen tests with Grillo. Fox ultimately decided not to move forward, reportedly disagreeing with Carnahan's choice to cast Grillo as the star. Yeah, there's a funny joke about Liam Neeson in this too, because his son is like saying like, "Oh, mom says that you're a badass," and then and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, and then the son's like, "So are you like Liam Neeson like in Taken? Do you have like a certain set of skills?" And he's like, "No, Liam Neeson is a fake tough guy. I'm a real tough guy." Yeah, he tells Liam, he says that Liam Neeson is a fake tough guy. Neeson has worked with this movie director Joe Carnahan before on the A-Team and The Gray, and this quib was undoubtedly an inside joke between the three. Yeah. Yeah, The Gray is a great movie, also. Liam Neeson basically being hunted by wolves, like in the middle of nowhere. I think it's in Alaska. The movie's dedicated to Frank Grillo's mother, who passed away in 2019. May 9th, the day Roy is forced to repeat, is director Joe Carnahan's birthday. Oh, Meadow Williams, who plays the gun-toting Pam, also served as executive producer on the film. Oh yeah, and there's a really funny joke about the gun she's using. I won't say whose gun it is, but I thought that was hilarious. Joe Carnahan rewrote the screenplay specifically for Grillo. Oh, Mel Gibson's second film with Grillo after Edge of Darkness. I didn't remember he was in that. So, but yeah, I mean Naomi Watts is good too. She's just kind of the beginning and the end, but yeah, it's always nice to see her, and she does a really good job. So, but yeah, I guess that's about it though. I definitely recommend it. It's pretty cool in the end. Like I said, this is all spoilers. When he brings the minigun down and then he just kills all the assassins basically in like one blow. But that was great. So, but yeah, that's about it. I'll see you next time.